Whitfield, present.
Councilmember Rahman
Here.
and Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Not here, not yet. Okay, we have a very exciting, an exciting agenda and an exciting appointment. But before we get to that appointment, we're going to have public comment. And so, Mr. Litt, would you let us know how that occurs, please?
Yes. Members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the items listed on the agenda should call 1-669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-177-1578 and then press the pound key. Press the pound key again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. Please note this only applies to the regular agenda, not the special agenda. Thank you.
All right, so the floor is now open for public comment.
Caller, please state your name and the item you'd like to speak on. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on?
Yes, my name is Michael Rosenzweig. I'm the Senior General Manager for the Midtown Crossing Shopping Center that is located at 4550 and 4700 West Pico Boulevard. It's, I believe, agenda item number 5. I'm just calling in to voice my support for the council and the committee and therefore the council to approve the transfer of the Section 108 loan. As the Senior General Manager, I've been involved with this property since 2000. And over that time, we have continued to improve the property. We pay approximately $16,000 a year in gross receipts tax. And even through COVID, our sales jumped almost 12.75% last year over 2019 at the shopping center as a whole. And for those on the committee that have ever visited it, between Lowe's and PetSmart and Smart and Final, we had a banner year last year and this year. Our Lowe's doubled its customer count from about 1,200 customers a day to over 2,500.
Thank you. That concludes your time. Caller, please state your name and the item you'd like to speak on. Caller, are you there?
Yes.
Please state your name
Hello.
and the
My
item
name.
you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is Veronica Toledo, and I'm speaking in support of item 3. I serve as the Associate Director of United Parents and Students. We're a nonprofit organization committed to empowering families and communities to become powerful self-advocates for quality schools and communities. We serve 10,000 families in Los Angeles, primarily in South and East LA, who have been encouraging the city and county to engage in healthy food financing for the last 2 years alongside the American Heart Association. Low-income communities of color are 2 to 3 times more likely than affluent or white neighborhoods to lack access to nearby grocery stores with affordable and nutritious food. The current scarcity of supermarkets enables many stores to sell rotting and expired food in unsanitary conditions without competition or consequence. It also exacerbates food insecurity by driving up the price of fresh food sold by local markets, making them unaffordable and creating burdensome travel costs to find food outside the community. Limited access to healthy, affordable food contributes to major disparities in health outcomes and life expectancy. A new grocery store can bring up to 250 new jobs to a community. Now is the time for health.
Thank you. That concludes your time. Caller, please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Hello?
Hi, please state your name and the items you would like to speak on.
Yeah, my name is Carissa Zingula, also with United Parents and Students. I'd actually like to make a public comment on item number 3. I'm actually going to speak on behalf of someone who couldn't be present today. I'm going to be speaking on behalf of... Okay, thank you. So I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Ms. Ana Alicia Carr. She serves as the Community Advocacy Director with the American Heart Association. And she'd just like to state how the American Heart Association stands with United Parents and Students in urging the City of Los Angeles to allocate funding to increase nutrition security by improving
by improving equitable access to high-quality grocery stores in communities of color. Inequitable access to nutritious foods is a chronic and persistent issue burdening Angelinos and has only been exacerbated by the pandemic. At the American Heart Association, they believe that every person deserves the opportunity for a full, healthy life, and removing barriers to health like nutrition insecurity is essential to achieving equitable health for all. The science is clear that nutrition security, the stable access to healthy foods like fruits and vegetables, is critical to the prevention and management of chronic conditions like heart disease and to improving health outcomes overall. Stark differences in access to healthy food are seen throughout the county impacting under-resourced communities of color.
Caller, please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on. Caller, are you there?
Yes. Hello. I would like to speak.
Yes, what item would you like to speak on?
I would like to speak on item number 3.
You have a minute.
My name is. I'm sorry.
You have a minute. You may start. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. My name is Vicky Vaughn, and I am also a United Parents and Student leader. We have been working to push for healthy food financing in the city of Los Angeles for the last 2 years. I am from South Los Angeles, and I'm glad to represent my community, but I am not happy with the supermarkets and the quality of the food that is available in my community. There are very few good quality stores, and my shopping experience is one that I do not look forward to. Although I would love to shop in my community, there are not fresh fruits and healthy options available, and the high price does not reflect the poor quality of products. It is important for me to be able to spend my money on products that are fresh, clean, healthy, and conveniently located. We should not have to leave our community and shop in more affluent communities just to get healthy, affordable food. I urge you to pass this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Caller, please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Oh, the motherfucking items in general public comment.
You have 3 minutes. You can start.
Right. I know that demon code pricey in the room. I can sense it. Now, how come you complaining about the motherfucking supermarkets closing and not doing good shit when you put that extra wage on them motherfuckers? And they told you if you did it, Marquizzi, they pulling out of the ghetto. You didn't listen.
Caller, please stay on the subject, please.
I'm trying, nigga. I'm trying. Don't do me down.
One more of those and you're out.
I'm talking about supermarkets in the goddamn color area. It's on topic, ain't it? Of course it is. And I go over to places like Encino and Sherman Oaks, and I take 2 buses and I shop over there. They got all the goddamn fresh fruits and vegetables. They got so much shit they got thrown out at the end of the day. Now I go down to my area and we don't have nothing because of people that curb fucking price. And
Let's get him off. Thank you, caller. Thank you. Next.
Caller, please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on. Caller, are you there?
My hair, lady.
What's
I'd
your
like to
name and the
speak
items you'd like to speak on?
I'd like to speak on all items like number 3 and general public
You have
comment,
3 minutes. You
please.
can start.
3 minutes, you said, lady? Miss, you said I have 3 minutes?
Yes, your 3 minutes are starting. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you, cunt. Now, why is it that when I shop for healthy products, you can't find healthy nigger products in the nigger neighborhood?
Okay, that's it. Caller.
Who's that? You talking over me, nigga? Shut up.
Just cut him off, please. Just cut it off. Next, please.
If If any callers would like to share public comment, please press star 9 to raise your hand. Mr. Chair, there's no more callers on the queue.
Okay, well, thank you. And I just apologize that we had to cut some callers off, but they leave us no choice. That will close public comment. Members, we have several items on the agenda that I'm going to propose that we move on consent. Item 3, which is something we've heard about from many callers regarding healthy food financing. We know the good food zones are important, and financing those services are going to be equally important. Item 5, regarding membership in Midtown Crossing. Item 6, regarding the sale of 2 city-owned properties in CD8. Item 7, regarding funding for the Maya Corridor project in CD1. Item 8, regarding the sale of the sole source contract, I should say, the creation of a new 501c3 to administer the Leimert Park Village Business Improvement District in CD10. Item 9, relative to the formation of the Avalon Boulevard bid. And item 10, regarding the appropriation of funds from the Pacific Corridor Redevelopment Area project. So again, members, I'm proposing that we take items 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on consent, unless there are some questions or concerns about those items. Okay, seeing none, we will take those items on consent. Thank you.
Very good.
Let me also welcome Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson, who has joined us. Thank you, sir. All right, next item, Mr. Clerk.
Starting with item number 1, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Ms. Germanique Ulmer to the Board of City Tourism Commissioners for the term ending June 30th, 2026.
Welcome, Ms. Ulmer. It's good to see you again. We know that you certainly are doing a yeoman's duty over at where are you? The
Lucas Museum.
The Lucas. How can I forget?
Yes.
But we know that you are managing director at Lucas and got a BA from University of Georgia and master's from American University. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Ms. Ulmer, and what are your priorities serving on this very important commission for the city of Los Angeles?
Sure. Well, thank you, everyone, for having me today. So a little bit about me. I moved to Los Angeles 6 years ago. I spent most of my professional career in our nation's capital. My career began in public service, working in the executive office of the mayor of Washington, D.C., who actually happens to be from Los Angeles. I was his deputy press secretary for 4 years. And I actually worked for the city of Washington, D.C. during a period of rapid redevelopment and growth in our nation's capital, from the revitalization of the Chinatown area in Washington, D.C. to the Nationals baseball team coming to D.C. And from there, I worked in community organizing on a national level, providing strategic communications guidance on social issue advocacy campaigns. And then just prior to my role at the Lucas Museum, I served as the Vice President of Public Affairs for the National Trust for Historic Preservation. And in that role, I was involved in thinking about the role of older and smaller buildings and the historic main streets of America's cities to help drive cultural tourism in cities all over the country. So like I said, I moved to LA 6 years ago, but I was still working nationally in preservation. And then eventually took the role, my current role, which is Managing Director of Social Impact at the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, which we all know is under construction here in Los Angeles and South LA. And it's where I lead our work around community engagement and government affairs and audience development, and thinking about how we this institution will be an important and critical institution in the city of LA. And just to your question about how I think about my role, I think I can bring a particular perspective on the board, one that includes cultural institutions, which I believe we can all agree are an important driver in this economy here in Los Angeles. I also deeply understand the value of public service, serving as a political appointee in a mayor's office and working closely with a city council. And I think this is just a really important time in which cities are wrestling with welcoming back tourism safely into cities all over the country. And I really want to help think about that for Los Angeles. My professional career has had many touchstones and touch points that really wrestled with how tourism is critical for cities. And as someone who has grown up living and traveling all over the world, my father was in the Army. I was born in Germany and I lived all over the world. I can truly appreciate all that Los Angeles as a city has to offer its visitors. And I think it's a wonderful place for people to come and visit. And I think there's a lot that we can do as a city around tourism. I hope I can contribute in some way.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know that there's always a lot of interest in seeing the famous, well-known parts of our city from Hollywood to downtown. Any thoughts about illuminating some of the lesser-known jewels that exist in our city that tourists frequently don't know about and could benefit learning from?
Yeah, I am so glad you mentioned that, because I actually, as I was thinking about this meeting today, I was reflecting on that same challenge that the city of Washington, D.C. had, that everyone would come to Washington and be on the National Mall, and they did not experience the wonderful neighborhoods that make up that city. And I see that Los Angeles has a similar challenge with everyone going to the beautiful beaches, which they should, absolutely, but that there are so many other areas of Los Angeles that are important and thriving that we can really begin to illuminate. And I think a lot of what the department has already started to think about in terms of implementing this tourism master plan to help strategically align all the entities that contribute to making Los Angeles cohesive and a worldwide destination, and thinking about what are the infrastructure gaps, and transportation that's needed to get people to all the different parts of the city, to make it easier for our tourists to get to all the different parts of the city. Thinking about that collectively is one of the things that comes to mind for me. And I think that we could be really on the right path as we think about some of the recommendations in that tourism master plan that the department has already started to dig into.
Well, we certainly welcome your enthusiasm, your interest, and your commitment to our community. So glad to welcome you. Members, any other questions for our candidate this time? Councilwoman Rahman?
I just wanted to make a comment, Ms. Ulmer, that we're very excited to welcome you and your expertise to the city. I know you've already been serving in this role. I guess I should say to re-welcome you to the city, and really excited to be learning from you and all the work that you've done in your career. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Any, Mr. Blumenfeld?
Yeah, I just want to echo the same sentiment, and Councilman Price, you hit it on the nail when you're talking about the far areas of the city, and just to remind you that we in the West San Fernando Valley, we do exist and have some great communities that we like to see highlighted as well, especially with the Warner Center and entertainment complex that's coming in, and there's a lot to the entire city, and I know you know that, but I'm glad that you mentioned it because it's often overlooked. So thank you.
Thank you. And are you proposing any tours, Bob?
I'm always happy to give a tour.
Great.
And I live in Encino. I don't know if you guys know that. So, Councilmember Blumenfeld, I hear you.
You're going to be my constituent come the new year.
All right. Any other comments, members? Seeing none, I move that we approve this appointment and move it on to the council. Mr. Lynn, will you
Yes.
help us with a vote?
Councilmember Price?
Aye.
Councilmember Krikorian?
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield?
Aye.
Councilmember Rahman?
Yes.
And Councilmember Harris Dawson?
Yes.
Very good. This is approved.
That's unanimous. So again, Ms. Ulmer, thank you for your willingness to serve. We look forward to working with you and continued success.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's move on to item number 2.
Item number 2, motion, Rahman Krikorian O'Farrell, relative to establishing a permanent office of procurement.
Okay, another important tool in the toolbox. We're blessed to have 2 members on the committee that authored this motion, and so why don't we give them a chance to tee this up. Mr. Krikorian, I'll let you go first. Ms. Rahman, if you don't mind making some comments either.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And let me first thank Ms. Rahman for this partnership that we've embarked on to advance procurement reform and strategic procurement thinking another step forward. This has been something that we've been working on for quite some number of years now to try to take Los Angeles out of the dark ages of procurement and really modernize it, make it more strategic, make it more economical, and probably most important to me, make it a generator of jobs in the Los Angeles area and assisting the small businesses, particularly in the Los Angeles area. And as stated in the motion, there's been lots of steps forward, lots of improvements that we've made. Having Ms. Hoppus here is one of those important steps forward. But I think this motion takes us the next step in creating a permanent presence for the Office of Procurement, but also in giving it a real strategic roadmap for how it might be able to be most effective. So I'm just delighted that we're moving forward today. I'm delighted to partner with Ms. Rahman on this, and I ask for your aye vote.
Ms. Rahman, would you care to add anything?
Only that, I spoke at length about this when it came in front of the ITGS committee already, so I don't need to add much more except to say that I think particularly with the timing, I think this is a great step to be taking. For a long time, work on procurement reform had been anchored at the mayor's office. And now that we're going to be seeing a new election in the new year and potentially our current mayor leaving in advance of that election for his ambassadorship, I think it's really important to find a home for this work and to make sure that that work that has been invested in over years at the mayor's office continues in the city. And so I'm very happy to be putting this forward, to be articulating a home and a clear agenda for that work, and to have Ms. Hoppes continue in her leadership role in driving this very important effort forward in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are joined by Shannon Hoppes, and we are our Chief Procurement Officer. We appreciate your presence here, Shannon. Any thoughts or comments about the motion and some of the progress we're making and where we can go?
Always lots of thoughts. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to all of you for seeing the value of this initiative and wanting it to continue past the mayor's administration. This is something that we've needed in the city, a team that looks at our procurement holistically and can address our outdated policies and process and look at new technologies going forward and support the technologies that we're implementing. We're so excited about where we're at with our new solicitation platform and all of those that are all of our partners that are excited. We have a very good group who is very passionate about what this represents and have very much appreciated the support of the city in moving this forward, especially during a time that there were so many competing priorities, and understanding the value that this platform and the true public-private partnership that this represents will bring to our business community. So I am so privileged and honored to be in this role for as long as I may serve in it. And just thank you so much for your support.
No, thank you for your support, and we are just excited about the prospects of moving our procurement platform to another level. We certainly appreciate it. And this is a question for my colleagues or for you, Shannon. I think the thought is that this new procurement office will be housed in the CAO's office. Any particular reason why there as opposed to some other department or agency? Anybody? Paul? Nithya?
You know, we did, in our office, we spent a lot of time thinking about the appropriate home for this. And I think one of the reasons why we thought that this would be a good place for it is because the departments are used to dealing in many ways with the CAO on budget-related matters already, and take direction from the CAO on a number of issues that impact departmental decision-making. And in some ways, this seemed like an extension of that same function, and a way to deepen those departmental relationships that are already existing. And so for us, this made a lot of sense in talking through different possibilities for where it could be housed. But certainly I'm open to questions and discussion further about this, and I'm sure Ms. Hoppes is as well.
Yeah, and I would just add, Mr. Chairman, that we're going to get a very extensive analysis and report back here that will touch on governance as well. I think this is a starting point for that analysis. It isn't necessarily the ending point. We wouldn't want to presuppose the outcome of that. But I think there is some logic to the CAO in that many of the efficiencies that we would be realizing through this cross many departments, especially where there's joint procurement opportunities. They may even cross over outside of the city's processes into other government entities as well. And the cost efficiencies that are realized through procurement obviously have a direct impact on our budget calculations, which is uniquely within the CAO's wheelhouse too. So there's advantages to it. There may be advantages in other governance models too, and that's one of the things we would hope to be able to hear and be able to debate in the council.
Okay, well, again, we appreciate the motion, appreciate the comments. I'm going to move that we adopt the motion as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I think Mr. Harris Dawson had his hands up.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know I have the brown hands. So
we got to watch that.
So listen, I wanted to compliment Mr. Krikorian, Ms. Rahman on this. Our procurement process is so mechanical sometimes it defies logic. It acts like an app on my phone, like it gets a piece of data and it just moves on that piece of data, despite what other implications might be involved. And so I'm very excited about this project. I think taken together with targeted local hire, which the city of LA has hired over 1,200 Los Angeles residents to do work in the city of Los Angeles. People that, by the way, not only does it help our community and our bottom line, but these are people that would have been on the freeway otherwise, putting CO2s into the air and causing traffic and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I think we can achieve even greater efficiencies if we look at our procurement in the same kinds of ways. So I'm just very grateful and excited that this is moving forward.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, so I'm really excited too.
Absolutely. And we know that only a small portion of our current procurement dollars is going to local businesses. And so this is going to be a chance to really blow that up in a way that will be meaningful in terms of jobs and businesses. So, any other comments, members? If not, let's call the roll on this one, Mr. Litt.
Yes, Councilmember Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Krikorian.
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Field aye.
Councilmember Rahman.
Yes.
And Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, colleagues, thank you much. Let's move on to item 4, another important tool in our toolbox.
Item 4, Economic and Workforce Development Report relative to authority to accept the Economic Development Administration Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act funds.
Okay, we've got several members from EWDD. I think Daisy Hernandez, you going to lead off?
Yes. Good afternoon,
Okay,
Mr.
the
Chair,
floor is
council
yours.
members. Always good to see you.
You too.
Daisy Hernandez here with the Economic and Workforce Development Department. Before you is a report recommending approval and appropriation of the funds awarded by the Economic Development Administration, the EDA, under their Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security CARES program. We're also seeking approval to amend the existing EDA Revolving Loan Fund Administrative Plan to incorporate the implementation of the CARES program, including some recommended changes to the loan terms to make the CARES revolving loan fund more accessible and affordable to businesses in need. So this report outlines some of the recommended changes for your consideration. It's been nearly 20 months, right, since COVID first hit, and small businesses are still feeling that economic impact and the setbacks that they've had because of the pandemic. The EDA awarded the city these CARES funds. It was a non-competitive award, and this was specifically to implement a revolving loan fund to assist businesses affected by the pandemic. The award is for $2,591,856, and that includes $2,360,000 for actual loan capital, and then a set aside for admin costs of $231,856, and this is to help cover staff costs. Now, this EDA CARES allocation is in addition to the existing revolving loan fund that we already have that City Council reconstituted back in 2019. Now, the existing revolving loan fund, it offers flexible financing alternatives for businesses that don't qualify for the conventional loans, conventional lending, right? It offers favorable terms in comparison to these conventional loans. However, currently, businesses are in a really tough situation, and many of them are not even qualifying for even those flexible terms under the revolving loan fund. So that's why under this report, we're asking for your consideration to amend some of the loan terms to make this program more accessible. Due to declining revenues, it has been challenging, as I mentioned, for business owners to get more debt, acquire more debt, even qualify for new debt. So this will help us have another resource in our inventory of resources to be able to help these businesses. Now,
what changes, excuse me, Daisy, what changes are we proposing?
We're proposing,
to make it more accessible.
Yes, we're actually, there's several changes that we're proposing. I want to highlight some of the main ones. We want to, under the current program, the interest rate is prime plus 2%. What we're proposing is under CARES, we want to actually waive the interest for 12 months. And this will make it more affordable. There's going to be cost savings, right, for business owners to be able to use their cost savings for other business expenses that they may need. And we're proposing to waive this interest for 12 months as a stabilization period for the businesses. And then they would start incurring interest after that. And that would be at a fixed rate, at the prime rate at the time when the deferment period ends. And again, this it's for a 12-month period, and hoping that this will help the businesses in their recovery efforts. The other change that I want to highlight is actually payments. As you know, the regular program, we require that borrowers make monthly payments. We're proposing to defer payments for 12 months. This is similar what we did to the emergency loan and recovery grant loan program last year, right? We offered a deferment to allow businesses to stabilize before they start paying the money back. So we're proposing the same for this loan program. And this will allow businesses to have a better cash flow and just get back, until they get hopefully back on track with their operation. and at the end of the 12 months, we're hoping that they're stabilized enough that they'll be able to make the loan payments with no problem. And then the other major change that we're asking for is the requirement for job creation, as we know, and job creation and retention. As we know, that's the intent of our programs, right? We want to create and retain jobs in the city. And then the regular program requires that business owners create or retain one job for every $35,000 that they borrow. With this, under the proposed changes to under the CARES revolving loan fund, we are proposing to require one job for every $75,000 that they borrow. And this will still help us meet that public benefit standards that we need to meet for the program, but it will give the business owners more flexibility to comply with the program requirements. So other recommended changes is to include a reduced application fee and also reduce loan origination charges. So this will help the program be more affordable. The last thing we're recommending is that currently all loans have to go through the loan committee, but we want to hopefully streamline the process to be able to deploy the money faster. So we are asking for your approval to allow for an in-house review and approval process for loans up to $75,000. So that means that our loan underwriter would make recommendations for the loan, and the loan proposal would be reviewed by EWDD management. Now, any loan in excess of $75,000 would have to go through the regular process of going through loan committee. And the reason why we're asking for this is just to expedite those smaller loans that typically will go to the smaller businesses that probably need the funds more expedited in a faster process. So this is why we're proposing that. So all other terms and conditions under the regular CARES program would be implemented I apologize. Let me start over. All other terms and conditions under the regular revolving loan fund would be implemented under the CARES. So the only exceptions and changes that we're proposing are those outlined in this program. The administrative plan and any provisions of the administrative plan that you approved back in 2019 would also apply to the CARES revolving loan fund. So if approved, the terms of the CARES revolving loan fund will be incorporated as an addendum to the administrative plan, and it will be submitted to the EDA for their final approval. Now, the terms for the regular EDA program will remain the same. This is specifically only for the CARES money. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, I see. We have my colleagues do have a couple of questions. Let me just ask you one kind of opening question, though. These programs are great. They're good. But if no one knows about them, what good is it? So my question is, what outreach activities is EWDD going to undertake to get the word out? And how are you going to be programming with the council offices so that we can also assist in getting the word out to our constituents who may have an interest in this program?
Absolutely. That's a very good point, Mr. Chair. We actually have drafted a marketing plan, not only for this program, for all the other, but also including all the other loan programs and other services that we have. We have drafted it. We are hoping to be able to implement it soon. And certainly we do need help in spreading the word. You're right. We want to make sure that everyone knows that these resources are available. So we will be reaching out to the council offices, the mayor's office, and certainly all our partners in the community to make sure to get the word out.
Okay, well, I know the council officers are ready and willing, so.
Yes, thank you.
Make sure you plug us in. Mr. Blumenfeld.
Thank you. No, and great. Obviously, we're all excited about these loans. We can't do enough for our small businesses. I just had a question on, one of the things I worry about whenever we get a relatively small pot of money, I mean, 2.4 million in the scheme of things is pretty small. And sometimes when we have these smaller pots, we end up spending a lot of the money on administration and it's just, it's not as cost effective, especially when we're looking at, and this happened during the CARES. I tried to reposition some of our funding to go after the federal money because it was much more cost effective. We can get a tiny little bump on the federal money than making a series of small loans. So what is the actual admin costs on these loans, and how much overall is actually going out the door, and how much, leveraged time and staff is it costing us?
Right, that's a very good question. I have not done the calculation of what the actual staff time cost is. I can certainly look into it and report back to you on that. There is a lot of, we do get a lot of inquiries about loans, and to be frank, right now, businesses are not quite looking for loans. They're definitely preferring to go after grants, which has been a challenge for us to deploy our loan products, which is, again, the reason why we're trying to make the loan terms more, provide an incentive, right, for some businesses to access and get these loans. But as far as the administrative costs relating to the actual loan deployment, that I don't have that information available at this time.
Great. Well, I would love to get a report back on that.
Sure.
And whether there's a admin cost cap on this, and how that all plays out, because obviously the mission is really important, but we want to be an efficient government.
Right. Well, in this case, there is a cap in the admin. It's the $236,000 set aside that the EDA has told us this is how much you can spend in admin.
There's about a 10% cap.
It's about a 10%. Yeah.
But then, yeah, I mean, if I get a report back, that would
sure,
be
absolutely.
How it plays out, because even the cap can sometimes.
Right. Sometimes the city has to subsidize, right? The difference that's not covered. Right. You're right. So, yeah, I'll work on those numbers for you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Hernandez. I had the same thought as the chairman about outreach, and I'm glad to hear that the marketing plan is in development now. I hope that'll be expedited, and I hope it'll include, and I assume it will include, a broad cross-cultural inclusionary kind of approach that's in multiple languages and targeted primarily for the smallest businesses that don't have access to the other kinds of business information that even medium-sized businesses typically have. I assume that's to be the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay. And in addition to that, I have always felt that we don't adequately utilize the resources of the Office of Finance, even though they've really made huge strides recently in trying to use their tools as an outreach vehicle for businesses. But the BTRC renewal, for example, if we can just shoot out an email to every existing business in Los Angeles and let them know about these programs, that goes a long way for very little effort. So I would really suggest that we look at how do we use BTRC, that whole process, to reach out to all businesses. And possibly even DWP bills as well, even though I know there's a significant cost in doing that. And then, aside from the outreach itself, to Mr. Blumenfield's point about the resources being limited, is there going to be some prioritization of applicants, or is it kind of first come, first serve until the cap is reached and how much we're able to loan out?
So based on the administrative plan, we do have target business populations that includes our SEDS areas, opportunity zones, our Jedi zones. So we are going to be targeting certain specific underserved areas in the city, and it's a citywide program, so it'll be open to all, but recognizing that certain areas will be directly targeted.
Terrific. That's great. Oh, and then my final question was, you mentioned the sort of easing of the requirement on the jobs requirement on this. And the one job per 75,000 will include retention as well as new positions, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So that's important because businesses are having such a hard time right now hiring people that if it were new hires, that would actually set a lot of businesses back, unfortunately. But I guess the other part I'm wondering about is on the retention side, how does a business demonstrate that a position was retained? It's easy enough to show that a new position came in, but is it, if you have 2 employees at the beginning of the year and you have 2 employees at the end of the year, is that all you have to show? Or do you have to show that, but for this loan, you would have been at risk of losing one of those employees?
Correct. So that's what we have to document in our file, that without our assistance, that job would have been lost. So we do that through, financial records, sometimes even notices, layoff notices that they've issued, and we're trying to avert those layoffs. So we do have to document our file to show that.
Excellent. Okay, well, excellent recommendations.
Thank you.
Proud to support them. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, members, any other questions? Well, let's, I move that we approve the CWDD report recommendations and look forward to getting an update. When do we think the product will be available?
So upon approval by the city, we're going to send it to PDA. They're pretty good at turning things around. And as soon as we have their final approval, then we'll be able to launch. So I'm thinking within
2 months or a week or?
I'm thinking within a month, maybe like it's sometime mid-December, and we'll work with the EDA to try to get a firm timeline. Okay. But I'm estimating that will be it.
All right, it will invite you back for an update so that we can see, appreciate the progress and see how things are moving forward.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
But I'd move members that we approve the EWDD report recommendations.
And Mr. Chair, with the requested report back as a friendly amendment?
With the report back as requested, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lynn, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Price?
Aye.
Councilmember Krikorian?
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield?
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Rahman?
Yes.
And Councilmember Harris Dawson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, members.
Thank you.
Members, we're going to recess the regular meeting and go into a special agenda to discuss the Jedi zones. I understand we need to take public comment again.
Yes. Okay.
Is that true, Mr. Lynn?
That is true. If you give me a moment, we will switch over.
Okay.
Okay, first to begin for the special meeting, members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the items listed on this agenda should call 1-669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-177-1578 and then press the pound key. Press the pound key again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. This only applies to the items for the special meeting agenda.
All right, and those are the items 1 through 3 are Jedi zone proposals.
Caller, please state your name and the item. Caller, please state your name and the item you'd like to speak on. Caller, please state your name and the item you'd like to speak on.
Can you hear me? I want to speak on special because they hung up on me in the regular meeting.
What item you want to speak on?
Well, is the regular meeting over because they hung up on me or they chopped me off for some reason?
You are now.
Where did I go?
Sir, you may comment on the special agenda. Only.
Who's this speaking? Is that you, bigamist? I'm going to speak on special items.
You have a minute. You can start.
1 minute only? 60 seconds?
And counting.
Okay, well, don't get upset with me, Mr. Price. It's not my fault you're a bigamist. And you didn't get the district at USC area. Don't get upset with me.
Mr. Price, he still hasn't spoken to a single item on the agenda.
Cut him off. We'll give another 2 seconds. And we're going to just cut him off, and he can come back next week. Are you there, caller?
Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
This is not on the agenda.
All right, thank you. Next caller, please.
Caller, please say your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
All items and general comment.
You have 2 minutes. You can start.
Oh boy, good. And again, I apologize for my fellow puppet, Black Puppet. He was a little outraged. So, we're talking about the Jedi. What does it take to be a Jedi? And have you given the Walt Disney Corporation their proper royalty on expropriating the term Jedi? Hey, that's a great thought. Yes, it is. And that's why Goat Puppet takes the lead in economic and job. As we watch current Price lose USC, or is it gain USC? And watch Nithya Ramanujal be complimented as they fuck her out of 40% of her population.
All right, sir. Thank you for your comment. Next caller.
Mr. Chair, there are no more callers on the queue.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude then our public comment period. We have 3 items on the Jedi Zone agenda. We've been asked to continue item 1 regarding the study in Van Nuys. And so let's proceed with discussion of items 2 and 3. And I've got someone from EWDD to lead us in that discussion.
Item number 2, EWDD report in response to motion, Price Rodriguez, relative to the establishment of a Jedi zone for the Goodyear Tract in Council District 9. Item 3 is an EWDD report in response to motion, Krikorian Price, relative to the establishment of a Jedi zone for a portion of Lancashire Boulevard corridor between Burbank Boulevard on the south and Oxnard Street on the north in Council District 2.
Okay. So who do we have? Jacqueline Rodriguez, is that you?
Yes, it is. Good afternoon,
WWDD.
council members. Jackie Rodriguez with the Economic and Workforce Development Department. I am extremely happy to be here and present on the Jobs and Economic Development Incentive Zones, the Jedi Zones as we have nicknamed them. And we're here to establish, originally I was going to speak on all 3. Should I just address the 2 that we're speaking on?
Yes, please.
So we're going to, here to establish 2 of the zones in Council District 2 and 9. So in March of 2020, which seems like very far away due to everything that has happened in our last year, Council had directed the EWDD to evaluate the proposed Jedi zones for portions of Lancashire Boulevard in Council District 2 and Laurel and the Goodyear Tract in Council District 9. EWDD had conducted the baseline assessment of the proposed Jedi zones in order to provide a description and analysis of the proposed Jedi zone, assessment of the area economic distress level, and recommendations for the establishment of the Jedi zones and provisions of business incentives to enhance economic development in the corridors through business incentive plans for each area. The reports that you have before you include, most of the reports are structured in a similar format. The content is different depending on the actual area. However, the structure of the reports are similar. So I'm going to talk about the topics that are in both of the reports. And if you have particular on one, we can address them towards the end if that's okay with the committee. So each report includes the location of the Jedi zone, including maps, demographics of the zone, business environment, the number of businesses. Thanks to the Office of Finance, we were able to receive the active business listings in each of the zones. Eligibility analysis based on the establishment policy, as well as primary qualifying criteria for the Jedi zones, including unemployment, low to moderate income areas, light retail usage, whether they have a city priority project, and whether or not they were in a former community redevelopment agency project area. These reports request designation of commercial corridors as Jedi zones for a period of 5 years and authorization to implement business incentive plans to the area, including providing development permit subsidies for up to $10,000 per business. Each of the total allocation is based on the area's economic distress analysis.
Excuse me, that subsidy, is that a grant or what's the subsidy per business? 10,000 per business, what is that?
It's for use of permits for either building and safety permits and or planning permits.
It's like a credit that the business has then to up to that amount?
Correct. And we have, so for District 2, we have subsidies up to $200,000. For District 9, we have subsidies up to $300,000. And once again, it is based on the economic distress analysis of each area. With the recommendations for the Jedi zone designations, if they are approved, approximately, do some quick math, about 698 businesses will be afforded the enhanced services and incentives offered through the Jedi zones. These incentives include the previously mentioned fee reductions for development permits, facade improvement grants, access to different compensations for new staff training or on-the-job training resources, and customized resources to assist the business. And that can include access to capital grants, information such as for the EDA grants that are available through the city, etc. Once approved, the EWDD will coordinate with the respective council offices to provide an overview of the targeted incentives and receive input on the most effective methods of outreach. We would love to work with your council field staff to have a more dedicated target approach. We will also be working with local agencies or business source centers, as well as any bids that might assist in the area, to make sure that all businesses are aware of one, what is a Jedi, and two, what incentives are offered through the Jedi program. An individual business assessment will also be conducted to determine which services are most appropriate. The program manager will serve as a business point of contact to utilize the incentives offered. EDD will continue to monitor the Jedi zone's impact to the area and report biannually to council and mayor's office on the Jedi zone's progress and performance. Finally, I would just like to thank you for your support, patience, and everything for this program, as well as thank the EWDD staff that have worked on this program when it comes to the inception and design and everything else. We are extremely excited to launch this program, and I'm open to any questions.
Yes, well, we share your excitement and your enthusiasm. And you're right; it has been a long time coming. And I know that there's still a great deal of interest. In addition to the zones that are on the agenda for today, are there any others in progress, in planning? And how does a council office initiate a request for a Jedi zone designation?
So there are different loans and programs that might be available. Most of those will be through our business source centers and any other grants that are eligible through the city, county, state. Especially right now that with recovery, we will make sure to have all the businesses be aware of those opportunities. How council offices can request a Jedi zone is through a council motion. So we would need information on, where is it located and what are the basic eligibility criteria that it meets. There are a couple of criteria. One is it's in an opportunity zone. if it's an EIFD zone, if it's a promise zone, or if it's part of our SEDS area. Once that motion is I guess, introduced, sorry, I lost the word there for a second, EWDD will start the process. We currently have a couple more Jedi zones that are in progress. Councilmember Bloomingfield, yours is coming up next. Unfortunately, we were not able to get it into this agenda, but I have not. Yours is next. So
read my mind. Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that. And then I believe there's one in Councilmember Harris Dawson's district in CD 13 and CD 15 that I'm aware of as of now. And I do expect once this report start going that there will be more requests for more zones. We do anticipate our new staffing, thank you very much, that will begin in January, which will enable us to have more program managers out in the streets to assist the businesses, conduct those assessments, etc.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just first wanted to start by thanking Ms. Rodriguez and all of the folks at EWDD that have seen us through to this point. This process literally started over 6 years ago. Yes, Ms. Rodriguez, the motions came in for these designations, seemingly forever ago in March of 2020. But we first came up with the concept of the Jedi Zone over 6 years ago, and it was starting something brand new up from scratch in the aftermath of the loss of redevelopment. So when the state eliminated redevelopment as a tool that local governments can use for economic development, it really left us with not too many tools in our toolbox to be able to use. And so we had to conceptualize something brand new and create a program that would be targeted, equitable, effective, and cost effective. And so I think what we have before us with the first two ready to launch and many more coming, I think we're going to see a program that really is a game changer for bringing stimulus back to our business corridors in underserved communities. And it really is the kind of thing that's going to be creating jobs, opportunity, and economic vitality particularly in neighborhoods that have lacked it for too long. So I guess that's not a question, it's just a comment of gratitude to everybody who's worked to bring this to this point. And I might note that 4 of the 5 members of this committee served on the ad hoc jobs committee that created the Jedi program in the first place and saw it through. And Ms. Rahman, of course, since she's been here, has been an ardent supporter of this effort and other efforts to support small businesses as well. So it's really been a terrific team effort to see us get to this point. And I know it's going to bear a lot of fruit in the years to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian, for your leadership on this matter, and your leadership also, Mr. Bloomingfield. Floor is yours, sir.
Great, thank you. No, I want to echo everything Mr. Krikorian said, except for one thing. It's a little pet peeve of mine. I have to correct the record on one thing you said, which had to do with the tool being taken away by the state. Just as a reminder, the CRA was not eliminated by the state legislature. It was eliminated by the courts. I'm very sensitive on this because I was the budget chair at the time and went out of my way to save the CRA. And we voted on it. We got Jerry Brown to agree to a compromise that would have both eliminated it but recreated it in a new image, about 85%. And then the CRAs got greedy and they sued and they lost in court, and they ended up losing the one bill, AB 25X, and the judge ruled the other bill invalid. And that's why we lost a critical tool of the CRA investment. So everything you said, I agree with 100%, but people make this mistake in the papers everywhere. Every time I hear it, I will correct it, and I apologize for doing that here. But it is one of those things that the record is just always constantly wrong on that, and especially since my name is on that bill, I'm correcting it every time I hear it. So that's it. But thank you, Ms. Rodriguez, for the great work that you're doing.
Thank you, and thank you for the background. I truly cannot. I will remember that.
Thank you for the correction, Mr. Blumenfeld. Absolutely. Any other comments, members? Any other hands? Seeing no other comments, I'm going to recommend that we approve the EWDD report recommendation for items 2 and 3, and that we continue item 1 and instruct EWDD to study Van Nuys Boulevard between San Fernando Road and Glen Oaks for a potential Pacoima Jedi zone boundary adjustments. Mr. Lidd, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilmember Price?
Aye.
Councilmember Krikorian?
With the understanding that my comments should be deemed amended as requested by Mr. Blumenfield, aye.
Very good. Councilmember Blumenfield?
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Rahman?
Yes.
And Councilmember Harris Dawson?
Yes.
Okay, members, well, thank you very much, and staff for that discussion. Mr. Lidd, what is before us at this time?
This clears the desk.
Okay, well, I will adjourn this meeting, and thank you for your participation.